Alright, y'all, so listen, I have not really been keeping up with this P. Diddy trial because I got lost somewhere in the trial to where every day you wake up and you listen again and again, and I'm not hearing sex trafficking, I'm not hearing racketeering, I'm just hearing domestic violence and bad relationships. So I kind of tuned out. But what I have done in this video is I've compiled the biggest bombshells from the P. Diddy trial, and I'm about to drop them on you right now. If you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up. Here we go. All right, so a couple of people have testified so far. Most experts who are attorneys who have been paying attention to the case, I check in with them every couple of days now. We're like 4 weeks into this trial. Every one of them are still saying the same thing. If the state is going to win this case, they're going to have to start showing sex trafficking and racketeering. So far, they have done a good job of trying to build up to that, but they have not dropped a bombshell, as in they have not put anything out there significant enough for everybody to say, damn, that's definitely sex trafficking and racketeering, right? So it's about week 4 or so, 5 of the P. Diddy trial, and a federal jury in Manhattan has heard R&B singer Cassie Ventura Combs' ex-girlfriend and the catalyst of this public downfall, tearfully testifying about the humiliating freak-offs that she endured throughout their 11-year relationship. Then we had a bunch of other people who came behind, to include people who have worked with Diddy before, his ex-assistant, and former close associates of his, I guess. And none of it is leading to what we were expecting. Truthfully, I'm super disappointed in how this case has been going. Not that I wanted Diddy to go to prison or anything, but I was looking forward to seeing or hearing some stuff that would be unearthed, or some stuff that would be uncovered that would be just mind-shattering, just crazy, just jaw-dropping for all of us who would have heard it. Like, oh my God. And we haven't gotten the oh my God factor out of this yet. Okay? So, of course, Diddy is arguing through his defense that all these charges are false and he is not guilty of any of this stuff. So let's start off with the former security guard. Describe Diddy. This former security guard was the security guard who was at the hotel where Cassie and Diddy went down the hallway. You see, it gets boring and it's redundant and it's repetitive, because here we are starting off with something that actually started the trial 4 weeks ago, because there isn't much more to it. So the security guard who worked at that hotel, which no longer exists, the same hotel that Cassie actually got $10 million for, that situation from, the former security guard described how Diddy personally pulled $100,000 out of a paper bag, and then he started counting it. And he basically painted an image of how Diddy handled the situation, like after the whole altercation with Cassie. So the guard said that Diddy hoped that the cash, this same cash, prosecutors are calling it a bribe. Well, shit, of course it's a bribe. That's what rich people do. You know, they're like, hey, hold this money right quick. Take my car over there for me, and, you know, I'll see you back over there. Or, hey, here's $50, $50,000. Don't say anything, blah, blah, blah. That's, who has not done that? People who are not moguls have done that, right? So anyways, he said that Diddy was hoping that the $100,000 cash would forever bury the 15-minute video of him beating on Cassie in the hallway of that hotel. For me, it was more like dragging and pacing back and forth. He kicked her once in the ass, and he dragged her by her hair for like 2 feet, a feet and a half. Not minimizing what he did, but if you watch the video over again, that's what happened. So there wasn't really any beating, as in, he didn't close his fist and punch her multiple times. He didn't slap her multiple times. But, you know, the whole video still looks bad regardless. So he was hoping that that video would disappear forever. And that was from March of 2016. We are in 2025. Cassie and Diddy actually continued to be in a relationship until 2018, going into 2019 after that incident. Almost 3 years later is when they broke up. Let's put things into perspective, right? So he said Diddy fed $100,000. He fed $10,000 at a time into a money counting machine, and then he stuffed it into a paper bag. This is according to the ex-guard Eddie Garcia. He then said that Diddy then handed him the paper bag with the money in exchange for a USB thumb drive that would contain what both of them believed to be a copy of the incriminating footage. He said, Diddy said these words, "Eddie, my angel." This is what Diddy called him after the interaction, the transaction, rather. "Eddie, my angel." He said, you know, something like this could ruin me, man. 8 years later, a surviving copy of that same video was made public by CNN. So, if Diddy paid $100,000 to the security guard for a thumbnail with that video on it, who the hell had the original video, and who the hell sold it to CNN? This is very interesting. Now, it's the single most important piece of evidence in this trial. Both sides say. And for the reason is that prosecutors, the people who want to find him guilty, they're saying that that video shows that Diddy, in the very act of sex trafficking Cassie Ventura, meaning he was coercing her through physical force into engaging in sex at the hotel with a male sex worker known as Jules. You know what's crazy? What's crazy is they all testified that that incident you saw happened after the freak-off had already happened. So the prosecution basically has nothing on Diddy. And they're saying that this video was Diddy trying to beat Cassie to get back in that room and perform some sex acts with Jules, some sex worker guy. The crazy thing is, Cassie herself testified that that was after the freak-off. And I made sure she initiated that freak-off for that weekend. And they asked her why. You know, if you are so much in fear of this person, why did you initiate a freak-off? I thought you didn't like them. Cassie herself in court said, I had things going on, and I wanted to make sure that things went smoothly for me. So I knew how to basically butter Sean up. I knew what he liked, and I knew that if I gave him a freak-off, then I could get what I wanted. That doesn't sound like somebody who is in desperation to me. That sounds like somebody who has figured out who she is with and knows how to get what she wants from that individual, right? Right. So this is what prosecution is looking at that piece of video as. Prosecutors say that the video shows Diddy in the very act of sex trafficking. The first charge in Diddy's indictment accused him of racketeering, a charge that requires proof of at least 2 underlying crimes. Prosecutors may argue that the video alone is proof of 3 underlying crimes: sex trafficking, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors hope that the video will also clinch the second charge in Diddy's indictment, which accuses him of sex trafficking Cassie Ventura. First of all, man, when this case came we thought Diddy being charged at a RICO level for sex trafficking, we would have heard a whole bunch of victims, and they would have had proof and videos, and these freak off videos would have included people in the videos who were just tired of doing it, and they're like, I don't want to do it anymore, please let me out, I want to leave. And then we would see people being beaten on video, like, get back in there and keep on doing it, get your ass back in there. And we have seen nothing like that. A freaky ass relationship between two adults that lasted 11 years. So, prosecutors are hoping that this video is what will clinch their case. We know that now. Both racketeering and sex trafficking carry a maximum sentence of life in prison. Diddy getting life in prison for dealing with Cassie, for the things that him and Cassie did, when these sex workers even testified in court, or not sex workers, because the men said they were not sex workers. They were people who were involved with other people, and they knew what time it was, and they voluntarily got into it. You know what I mean? Of course, they were compensated, but they voluntarily got into it. Nobody forced them, and it wasn't that type of a situation. Cassie herself was very involved in it and very instrumental in being the person who gave the directions, what to do, etc. So one of Diddy's former personal assistants testified under the pseudonym of Mia, telling the jurors that he sexually attacked her 4 times between 2009 and 2017, when she was in her mid-20s to early 30s. She said that 2 of the attacks were at the sprawling glass and concrete mansion that he rented in Hollywood Hills, including a RAE in the staff bedroom. She described waking to feeling Diddy on top of her, and he said, "Be quiet, be quiet." "I knew his powers, and I knew his control over me," she said to the jury. Her voice began hushed and halting. "And I didn't want to lose everything that I worked so hard for, or this, like this world, that was the only thing I had anymore. So I said nothing." Diddy once attacked Ventura during a party that was thrown by music icon Prince. That was also testified. The former personal assistant also testified that not only did he force himself on me and took it, but we were at a Prince party. Prince is long dead and gone. I know Prince is rolling in his grave right now, but Prince is long dead and gone. But the assistant Mia testified this as well. The assistant, who used the pseudonym Mia, told the jury that she and Cassie Ventura had snuck out of Prince's Los Angeles home after learning that he would be performing for a small gathering. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, as Cassie described it on the stand. So Prince did not disappoint. Mia said that he played music and they danced on top of his backyard pool, which was backlit and covered in purple plexiglass. Then Diddy showed up. "I saw his bucket hat come through the entrance and then made eye contact with him, and me and Cassie, we just booked it. They ran through Prince's house and into the woods out front, where Diddy caught Cassie. And when he caught her, he started beating her until Prince security guards intervened. Later that night, Cassie testified that Combs continued to beat her back at the hotel, leaving her bruising on her face with knots on her head. That's another one of those testimonies. Then there was Capricorn Clark. Capricorn Clark, another former personal assistant and one who became one of his top marketing executives, was kicked off week 3 of the trial by telling jurors that he once kidnapped her at gunpoint. And that was December of 2011, after Diddy learned of Kid Cudi's brief relationship with Cassie. So she's the one who said he kidnapped her at gunpoint. She didn't go with him willingly. He said, let's go. We about to go kill Kid Cudi. And she went because she was scared. Man, listen. Diddy's attorneys asked her, how come when we spoke about these things last year, that's not what you said? Not only that, they recorded what she said to them before she got to court. And she said she went willingly because she wanted to make sure that Diddy didn't do anything bad. She always felt like it was her job to take care of him. It was her job to protect his image. It was her job to make sure that he acted in a professional manner at all times. That's not what she said when she got to court. When she got to court, her story changed to, he kidnapped me at gunpoint and forced me to. Now, in the first week of trial testimony, Cassie told jurors that starting in late 2008, she was coerced by Diddy into a decade's worth of nearly weekly freak-offs, day-long sex performances, usually at luxury hotels involving male escorts, Glade candles, and numerous bottles of baby oil. Clark also told jurors that in the years that she was Diddy's personal assistant, from 2004 to 2006, now that's only 2 years, right? She would set up and clean up hotel rooms where Diddy took another long-term girlfriend, model Kim Porter, the mother of 4 of his children, not Cassie. During those years, Diddy and Porter would stay for days in these luxury hotels in Atlanta, in Los Angeles, in New York. And Clark said as a personal assistant, she made sure that his suite was stocked with all the things he needed, including ecstasy, baby oil, and pricey Deputy Q candles. Cleanup was tricky, Clark said. Why was the cleanup tricky? Handprints were left in oil on the ultra suede walls. And that was a particular problem. It was just a lot of baby oil everywhere. It was just everywhere. And those were not freak-offs, she said. Kim Porter, former family attorney Susan Kimberly Brecker, said those were not freak-offs. Those were Diddy and Kim spending time together. He was madly in love with Kim, said Brecker, who helped to negotiate Diddy's child support settlement and who said that Kim Porter had 2 children with Diddy at the time. Now, there is absolutely no way that he would share her with another man. He was so in love with her. He would tell her, I'm not going to pay for an apartment with my kids in one room while you're with another guy in another bedroom. It's just not going to happen, right? I'd rather put all of y'all in a mansion and no man involved kind of thing. So Kid Cudi took the stand next. Kid Cudi said what he said about his house being broken into, his car being burnt. You know, at the end of the day, Brian Steele came in like a master magician, threw Kid Cudi way up under the bus. He asked Kid Cudi, where's the proof? Like, okay, so you come home, you say Diddy did all these things. How you know he did it? Kid Cudi said, I just know he did it. Did you ask him if he did it? He said, yes. What did he say to you? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Brian Steele said, okay. So he never admitted to telling you he did it. He actually was surprised that you asked him that and said he doesn't know what you're talking about, right? Right. Okay, so you live in a mansion out in California. I'm sure you have a surveillance system around your mansion. Everybody does. Do you have any video footage or anything of the car that was parked out front that got firebombed, or somebody breaking in your front door or pulling up to your front yard, anything? Kid Cudi said, nah, because when Diddy and the men did what they did, they took my whole surveillance system, took my cameras. Now, everybody knows this. Your camera footage is not kept inside of your camera, my friend. It's stored in the clouds, okay? My camera system at my house is stored in the clouds. So if somebody comes and they breaks my camera off my door and they go through my house and take down every camera that's in here, I have all the footage. I will have the footage of them actually removing the cameras. Kid Cudi had absolutely no proof. At this point, we're going through some of the things, right? Now we talk about Cassie. Cassie's mom went to trial and testified. They didn't even cross-examine Cassie's mother because Cassie's mother, I'm sure they didn't want to seem like they were beating up on an older lady. Cassie's mom said what she said. She provided a picture which she claims that Diddy beat Cassie and created those bruises. The picture has no date. You just showing up to court with a picture saying, you punched me in my eye and this is the picture. That's not enough to say that person did that, right? Then she talked about $20,000 she had to take out a HELOC loan on her home just to pay Diddy, and he sent the money back to her. So he was like threatening Cassie and telling her he was gonna release some sex video of her daughter and it's gonna be embarrassing. So they had to pay him. Now, every one of us who are adults out here with common sense, the first thing you would ask is, so it was done by wire transfer. So there must be some proof out there that this wire transfer took place. A HELOC loan is not just you wake up in the morning and click your fingers and you have a HELOC loan. A HELOC loan is a loan that is taken out against the mortgage of your home. Where is the paper trail? Anything could have been used as a proof in this situation. Again, Cassie's mom told her story and left. No proof whatsoever. None whatsoever. So, a former Combs assistant, personal assistant, described watching and doing nothing as his boss brutally attacked Cassie in the bedroom of Diddy's private jet. George Kaplan. Kaplan's 34 years old. Kaplan said that the attack happened on a crowded flight to Las Vegas in the latter half of 2015. Kaplan said that he heard the sound of screams and shattering glass coming from the bedroom in the private jet. He said that he turned to see Diddy standing over Cassie with a whiskey rock glass in his hand, and she was like cowered down on the bed. After the glass crashed, Ventura or Cassie screamed, "Isn't anybody seeing this?" This is what Kaplan said to the jury. They asked him, "Did you look away?" That's what the federal prosecutor asked him. "Did you look away?" And Kaplan said, "I did. I looked away." "And after you looked away, what did you hear?" And the prosecutor said, "I heard more glass crashing and more chaos." When the prosecutor asked, what, if anything, did the security staff do in response, Kaplan said, "Nothing. No one," he said, went back to check on Cassie. After Diddy left the bedroom, he joined his employees out in the main area and left Cassie there. Kaplan said, "I was 23 years old. All I wanted to do was to have a great job in the entertainment industry." Ultimately, he told the jury this and similar domestic violence incidents drove him to be quiet. In other words, they were all around. They saw Diddy and Cassie get into it all the time. Saw Diddy abusing Cassie all the time. Everybody saw it. Nobody did anything. See, this is the thing. All these people now are coming out now to say they saw this and they saw that. None of this amounts to sex trafficking and racketeering. This amounts to, because we do know that there were highs and there were lows in Diddy and Cassie's relationship. I mean, there are literally hundreds of pictures out there with Cassie and Diddy together over an 11-year period. There are even video clips of Cassie together with Diddy, with Kim, as Kim is Diddy's, how would you call her? His common law wife, because I don't think they were married on paper, like in real, but they were common law married, mother of his children, right? And Cassie would play along as if, I'm not messing with your man. She knew how to play the role. She could have got Ghost. If she wanted to leave, she could have told Kim. She could have said, listen, you and Diddy, you guys are happy. You're having babies together. You know, I want to leave. Please tell him, leave me alone. I'm going to pack my stuff and I'm leaving this weekend. She didn't. Cassie showed up, was in pictures and videos with Kim while she was still sleeping with Diddy and pretending in front of Kim like she wasn't sleeping with Diddy at all. You know, that's deception for me. That shows she wasn't genuine, and she herself had had something that she was looking for out of this as well. And she was willing to be the kept side woman, even if it meant playing along in the face of his main woman, as if I'm just a girl that's signed to his label, I'm his artist. When we go away so I can do my shows and the radio spot promotions and the award shows and the red carpet events overseas, etc. But we're not doing anything together. And for some reason, Kim bought it. Then Diddy's former personal assistant spent 2 days on a witness stand and did all this dramatic testimony describing how a run for a cheeseburger at a all-night diner nearly escalated into the East Coast, West Coast rap beef wars. And he could have lost his life. This is when David James testified, Diddy's ex-assistant. And he said, at this point was the first time I knew my life was in danger. And then he decided, I have to leave. And I don't want to be employed by Mr. Combs anymore. However, I want to stick around for another 6 months so I can train another assistant. Who does that? My life is in danger on the job I'm leaving today. I'm not sticking around to train another assistant to go put their life in danger so I can leave. What was that? That was his personal assistant from 2007 to 2009, testified that he was at the wheel of Diddy's silver Lincoln Navigator when Suge Knight and D-Rock faced off. What are you doing in my city? James, according to his testimony, remember hearing Suge Knight asking Diddy's security guard, who had introduced himself as D-Rock, that's Biggie's boy, a reference to the rapper Notorious Big. Within a moment, James and the bodyguard saw someone pass a gun to Suge Knight and watched as 4 SUVs pulled up into different corners of the parking lot. James testified that he was ordered by D-Rock to speed back to Diddy's Hollywood Hills estate. There was no mention of whether they drove back with or without the cheeseburgers. Once back home, and as Ventura protested in tears, Diddy grabbed 3 guns for the 10-minute drive with D-Rock back to Mel's. Testified that James, who said he was still the driver. This is when Cassie testified that Diddy had a run-in out in California with Suge Knight. And they asked Cassie, well, what were you doing? She said, we were actually in the middle of a freak-off. So Cassie is in the middle of a freak-off, having a good old time with Diddy not even at the house. Diddy joins the freak-off. Diddy stops to go get cheeseburger, runs into Suge, comes back to the house, grabs guns, according to his former assistant, and Cassie is begging him, please don't go, just stay and enjoy this freak-off. He goes anyways. He's probably at this point saying, F this freak-off, we do this all the time. Let me go handle this, because this man right here is going to think I'm pussy if I don't handle this. Then the assistant said, this is the first time I actually realized that my life was in danger. And then there was Dawn Richards. And Dawn Richards testified. Now, Dawn Richards got thrown under the bus as well by Diddy's attorneys, because after Dawn Richards testified that she too was sexually assaulted or molested, she said that she was the fifth prosecution witness, and her testimony came May 16th, alleging that in 2009, Diddy brutally beat Cassie Ventura after she took too long to cook him dinner. Where's my fucking eggs? She heard Diddy saying in 2009. We're in 2025. Remember, she's talking about something Diddy did to Cassie in 2009. Diddy and Cassie stayed together 9 years after that incident that Dawn recounted. I want just putting things into perspective. So she said as he stormed into the kitchen of this rented Los Angeles mansion, he took the skillet with the eggs in it and he tried to hit her with it in the head. And she fell to the ground. While she was on the ground, she rolled up in a fetal position as Diddy pushed her and kicked her, but he didn't hit her with it. Then he dragged her upstairs by her hair, adding that she then heard the sound of screaming and breaking glass from the third floor. The next day, Diddy called Cassie and Richard into the mansion's first floor recording studio. He said that what we saw was passion, and it was what lovers in a relationship do. She said Diddy told the two women that he was trying to take us to the next level, to the top, and that where he comes from, people go missing if they say things like that, like if people talk about people's business. And then he gave us flowers. While back on the stand on May 19th, Dawn Richards re-emphasized that she felt that this was a threat to her life. Him telling her, where I come from, people die if they say things about people's business, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to take y'all to the top. And what you witnessed yesterday, that was just passion. You feel me? Kind of thing. The details of that testimony came as a surprise to Diddy's lead defense attorney, Mark Agnifilio, who called it prejudicial. He said, this is just a drop-dead lie. It didn't happen, the lawyer said. And the reason I know it didn't happen is that Miss Ventura didn't talk about it during her 4 days of testimony on the stand. She could have said something about that. And she, not even her, said anything about that. On cross-examination on May 19, Richards agreed that she only recalled the alleged death threat in speaking with prosecutors earlier this month. In other words, she never remembered it until just now, that it had gone unmentioned, and she agreed that during half a dozen prior interviews with prosecutors, nothing like that came out of her mouth. It just came out today, right? So, like I said again, everybody seems like they have something to gain. Let's not forget, right? People are saying these people are testifying for free. They're not getting anything out of this except for that they want justice. And I beg to differ. That's a lie. They're actually looking at a payday. Similar to what was done to R. Kelly. So, R. Kelly's assets were seized, liquidated, put into a pool, and then divided up amongst those who were deemed victims of R. Kelly. The state has made it clear that Diddy's money, hundreds of millions of dollars, if he loses this trial, they are going to seize everything he owns. The private jets, the mansions, all the bank accounts, both business and personal. And they're going to liquidate his assets. And then they're going to divide it up amongst those who claim to be victims, as long as they can prove that they were victimized by him in a way that falls in with sex trafficking and racketeering. Right? All we've heard so far is everybody talk about how Diddy beat Cassie. And then, of course, some people have said he shouted at me, or he assaulted me too in a sexual manner. But these are people who they have also been able to prove on the stand through old text messages that they themselves sent to Diddy. Like one of them saying, "I love you," and another one saying, "Man, I have a major crush on you, and I think we're wasting all this chemistry that we have between each other." Is this the type of text message you send to somebody who you say raped you? "I think I have the biggest crush on you, and I think we are wasting all this chemistry we have between each other." Listen, it goes on and on. At the end of the day, we learned about Cassie's settlement. Cassie got millions of dollars for her incident she had with Diddy at the hotel, and millions of dollars more in settlement from Diddy for this whole situation. My summation of this whole case is that the state has not proven sex trafficking and racketeering. What I have seen is this, though. I have seen that this is a toxic relationship that Diddy and Cassie shared, a relationship that was filled with highs and lows, a relationship that the average mind cannot comprehend, because there were things that are involved in it that average people just don't do. The sex parties, right? Her having intercourse with other men in front of him when he enjoys the voyeurism angles of it. These are not normal things, but these are things that people do. But it's still not sex trafficking and racketeering. Like I said, Cassie stayed in this relationship. There is not one police report over the 11 years that Cassie was with Diddy. Not one police report. Cassie testified on the stand that one of her friends called the police once, and the police came once, but she wouldn't tell them who did what to her, so they left. But she herself has never called the police. She herself has never went to a police officer or into a police station. Yet she claims she was scared of him and she wanted so badly to leave. You know what? Yesterday I saw a video of a woman who is a real victim. She was shot 9 times by her ex-boyfriend, who she lived with for many years. She was shot 9 times because she wanted to leave. And her story was similar but different. They met when she was young. He love bombed her. They got into a relationship. She thought it was the perfect relationship. And then she started getting beatings. And she said he took pride in having her under his arm everywhere he went. He would not let her out of his sight. She could not have friends, male or female, worst males. She could not even look in the direction of another male. And female friends she weren't allowed to have unless he approved of who that female friend was. She wanted to leave for years and could not leave. She tried leaving many times, and he would find her. And then he would brag to people how she ran away, and he hunted her down and found her. She took out restraining orders, multiple restraining orders against him, and he violated those multiple restraining orders. And the system failed her. Because if a man violates a restraining order multiple times, he should be in prison for quite an extended period of time. This guy was never in prison for any period of time. And he violated these restraining orders. So she became scared. Because every time she called the police, which she called the police, so she had every reason to believe that the police could not do anything to save her. Because she was calling the police, and they did come. And he would be arrested, and he would be right back out again. Eventually, her last restraining order she took out, she ran away. She was in her new place, thinking she was getting on with her new life. And he's a big guy. He kicks her front door off the hinges, walks into her house with a AR-15, and shot her a whole bunch of times. I know I said she got shot 9 times earlier. I must have been thinking about 50 Cent. Her story just ran in news media a couple of days ago. But he shot her a whole bunch of times. That's a victim. That's a victim who tried for over a decade to get away from this monster that she couldn't get away from. And he would beat her, and he would make her stay in the house. And the only time she went out is when he approved of where she was going. And she tried running away when she went somewhere, and he hunted her down and found her. And she took out restraining orders. She went to the law. She told the police she was scared. That's a victim. That's somebody that was trying to get away. I just feel like these other people who are after a good payday, or like somebody like a Don Richards. They asked Don Richards in court, right? Were you upset that he dismantled the group that you were in? She said yes. But most recently, she was trying to work with Diddy. So, which one is it? Do you hate this guy because he violated you, or do you want to get paid off of this guy? I just feel like at this point, it's clear to see that everybody around Diddy feels like, okay, the ship is sinking, so let me try to get whatever cut of this money I can get. So at the end of the day, it looks bad. I can't save it, so I'm just going for broke and trying to get some bread, some money. This is purely a domestic case. Diddy's case is not a RICO case. This is not a sex trafficking and racketeering case. This is a case that is domestic. This is a case that is about bad relationships. This is a case about a wealthy man who had fame and money, lots of it, and a bunch of people who were around him who were trying to figure out how to get what they wanted out of him. And many of them were willing to stay, regardless of what the circumstances were. I'm going to leave this one right here. Go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next video. I'm out. Peace.